Welcome back to the show. So before the break, we were discussing the importance of arts, and we are seeing what Walter has been up to, and then we were talking about what Adam was up to. And so you said you're currently going to school for theater and music, and
Yes.
you're not a stranger at the Turtle Island Theater.
Oh no, actually, Turtle Island Theater is sort of the reason that I chose drama at Bishop's. It's in 2008 was one of the first productions I ever did at Turtle Island, and since then I sort of realized it's what I like to do, and I always wanted it in my life. So even if I'm not sure if I want to be an actor in the future for my career or anything, I certainly want it there all the time. Even if I'm not going to be a professional actor, I might try. We'll see, but it's definitely going to stay in my life.
And Megan, how are you involved in the arts?
In the arts, well, I'm an artist and art educator, I like to call myself. I'm studying at Concordia University in art education. And in that program, you learn how to develop yourself as an artist and going through all the different types of art, whether it be painting, sculpture, printmaking, the whole range. And you also learn how to educate. So a lot of the classes revolve around learning how to do a specific medium and then learning how to implement that into a classroom or a community center or hospital, anywhere you want to teach. So a lot of my artwork revolves around teaching, and it revolves around political issues. It revolves around myself as an Aboriginal artist and trying to find that medium between spirituality and everyday life in next to a mainstream society, Montreal. So I do a lot of paintings and sculptures, and yeah, I do a lot of artwork in the community.
One of the things that you were involved with or still are is ArtCo. Would you be able to tell us a little bit about what exactly it is?
Well, it just launched this past year with Sandra Cross and Wasendio Cross. Sandra and I have worked together before on like a pilot program, I guess, just teaching art to different age groups at the youth center. And this past year, what we decided to do is we wanted to establish something that's more permanent. And we developed a program for children ages 6 to 7, 8 to 10, or 8 to 11, and then 11 to about 17. And we developed a whole unit plan for them, and we geared it to their different age groups and their developmental levels in art, and we paid attention to each one of the students to help them succeed in a medium they really wanted. So we explored all the basics of drawing, sculpture, painting, and then we had them for the last couple of weeks decide what they want to choose and decide what they want to make in whatever medium they felt most comfortable with, and yeah, we just kind of guided them along. His art is really important for these children, and certainly is for a lot of other people too.
So before the break, we were talking about Day Oyaks and how it's kind of like unfortunate when programs like that kind of they just don't like appear back like the next summer for like whether it's like funding or like someone not motivated to do the coordinating, or I don't know. I doubt it was in that case, but with this type of program, do you see it being something that like lasts in the community for a long time?
Definitely. I think a lot of people are beginning to see the benefits of art, and definitely in the children, and a lot of the schools, arts are coming up. And I think Sandra, myself, and Wasendio were really passionate about what we do in different areas of art that we create. And we see the importance and the value in creation and finding yourself through art and putting your imagination onto paper and creating something that's real to you. And I know I'm studying to be an art teacher and to be an art educator for all types of people, whether it's 2 and 4-year-olds or 85-year-olds. Like I want to teach the whole range of ages, and I see it being something very permanent. And there is money available. It's just you got to work to get there. You have to apply for grants. You have to see the right people, and it's not easy to do, but it's definitely doable.
It's worth it too, definitely. Like, it's work, but I mean, if you want it, you know, and if the people in the community want it, which they do, then, you know, it'll work.
Do you think the arts are valued in Ganawage? Or do you, like, because I find sometimes they kind of get, it's always, like, well, in general, not just Ganawage, it's always, like, you know, the arts that get, like, cut first when there's, like, funding issues, and they kind of get, like, thrown under the bus a lot of the times.
Yeah, it does seem that in education in general, the paradigm is that art is not necessary, and that, you know, math and other things, these are necessary. And that's an old paradigm that's stuck with us today, and it might need to change. You know, if we might have to, from the inside of the education system itself, really decide, well, do we need art? And I think we do. And I think it should be mandatory that in schools, you know, across, you know, North America even, eventually, secondary education should include mandatory art classes. Not all the time, but just to see that kids who have different ways of learning can realize that they have different ways of learning, and not just because they fail at math or science realize, oh, well, I'm bad at academics, so that when they have the art class, they're like, well, I am good at academics, I just learned differently, you know?
In terms of like the arts in schools, I called like some of the local schools in Ganawage to see what type of curriculum and programs they have offered to their students. And at Ganawage Survival School, they do have fine arts classes. And to my surprise, they actually had a music elective for their grade 9 students, which I was like, yippee, when they mentioned that. And they're wanting to introduce more music. And at Gardena School, they had, this past year was the first time they offered an art program to grade 1 to 4 students. And at Cattery School, unfortunately, they weren't able to get back to me by the time we did the show. But I do know that they have a music program at their graduation. All the cute little kids in the choir were singing. And I'm sure they have art programs, but one thing that none of them had, or I'm not sure about Cattery School, was about theater. And that's, I had all 3 in high school, and I don't know. It's just like, do you think what is available right now is adequate?
Like, are you asking if theater should be something that is part of school as well, like in terms of, you know, elementary and secondary education, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, well, not just adding theater, but also like for example, KSS only has a music elective for their grade 9 students. Do you think that's adequate enough for?
Well, I think it's a good start. You know, at least they're providing a place for people to decide or just figure out what music is about for them in a learning setting, and it's a good start. And you know, I think a lot of classes don't necessarily have to be cut out. You know, this is music, this is art, this is theater, this is math, this is science. I think it can also be like a multidisciplinary class where, you know, you're learning math, but you can learn math through art, or you're learning English, but you're learning it, you know, through a dramatization of a story you're reading.
Oh, sure. Actually, I did that in high school, and it was great. I think that everybody should try that. It's like for one semester in an English class, we just did the Scottish play, I think. Anyway, it was a Shakespeare play, and we just, you know, for one semester, we learned all our lines. And that's something that's great for, like, well, everybody gets to try it because it's an English class, and English is mandatory. So that's a great way to try and implement it for, you know, one semester. That's a great idea.
I think it's. I mean, all the schools expressed that they want it to incorporate more, and whether if they were just starting or this is something that they're going over, which I think is great. And I know that they are a lot more advanced than other Aboriginal communities in the area in terms of like offering these types of services, so it's great. But what you were saying about learning just in a different way, like in high school and even in CEGEP in like English classes, we always did plays. Even though like I kind of hated doing them, like like it was always some sort of creative aspect that they would like incorporate, and I think there needs to be more of that, and
Well, yeah, exactly. Because when you learn how to stimulate, the kids differently, because some kids, they really don't like theater. Some kids, that's like really all that, interests them. And then once you learn how to stimulate them that way, you keep their attention, and then they want to learn.
Well, creativity is a really important aspect in whatever area you're learning in. Like even math requires creativity to solve problems, and it's something that I don't think should be shunned. And a lot of times creativity is lumped into arts, but it's not just art. It's everything you do in your life
Everything
requires
kind
a
of is
creative
creative.
thought. And one school that I think is really revolutionary here in the community is Step by Step. They have this approach to learning in general called Reggio Emilia. And what that is a program that looks at learning through the point of view of art and through music, through theater, through a bunch of different ways of learning. Their main idea is that children have 100 languages, and that we shouldn't just be looking at it, at one or two languages. We have to be able to provide a wider range,
be
so that
open-minded, yeah.
children can learn and learn to be open about learning. Is when you limit it into a little box, it's harder to want to learn because that's all you see, and you want to be able to see everything around you. And I think that's something really important that other schools may want to adopt in some form.
Yep. So with that, we have to take a quick commercial break again, and we'll be back with more Exposed.